네, 이제 다음으로 넘어가 보도록 하겠습니다. 이어지는 다음 세션은요. 혹시 통역이 필요하신 경우에는 수신기를 뒤에서 챙겨 주셔야 할 것 같습니다. 영어로 진행되는 강의입니다. 소개해 드리겠습니다. Origin Protocols Business Development Manager, Mr. Eric Antonio Charles, and he's going to speak to us about the fragmentation of NFT marketplaces. 여러분, 큰 박수로 모시겠습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I got in yesterday from San Francisco, California. It's my first time in Korea, first time in Asia, so very, very excited to be here. I come to you today from Origin Protocol. If you're unfamiliar with Origin, we've been in the crypto space since 2017. We have a DeFi side of our business as well as an NFT side. I'll be speaking to you today about the NFT side, obviously, but more specifically about the fragmentation of NFT marketplaces and why that's a good thing. Let me find my clicker. So, present day, I think we can all agree OpenSea is the dominant NFT marketplace, right? If you look at this headline here from TechCrunch, OpenSea is what we call a deca unicorn, meaning they're valued at over $10 billion. Not many companies even reach the regular unicorn of $1 billion valuation, so it is quite impressive what they've done in such a short period of time. You know, they've been around for a few years, but this recent NFT frenzy over the last 2 years has proven to be quite something else. The chart right below that is the monthly sales volume. And you can see that they've had multiple months where they've done over 2 billion in sales, and 1 month at the peak where they did 4 billion in sales. With their marketplace fee transaction, that's $50 to $100 million in revenue for OpenSea directly every month. So definitely a huge business. And you know, that bottom chart right there, that light purple, or I guess the blue here, that's their representation of market share in comparison to the other major marketplaces. LooksRare, X2Y2, I think even the CryptoPunks marketplace is listed there as well. So you can see that they're clearly the market leader. They are the dominant NFT marketplace. But I do want to draw a comparison to eBay. So I'm going to take you back 20 years. eBay was quite dominant during its time as well. So in the late 1990s, early 2000s, eBay was the dominant marketplace. There may have been a couple small other competitors, maybe like a Craigslist, right? But for the most part, any other clones that tried to compete with eBay didn't really work out. What you'll see here on the right is an image taken from Justine and Olivia Moore. And they wrote a great article about disrupting eBay. I think this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 2018. But what this image shows is for all the different categories within eBay itself, there's actually multiple companies that have spun up and specialized within those verticals. Right? So if you think about all the different categories on eBay, there's health and beauty, electronics, home goods, you know, a number of things. And for each of those, there's another company disrupting it that has become a billion-dollar company itself. So if you look at apparel, for example, there's Poshmark. If you look at sneakers, right, GOAT and StockX, cars, Carvana, Shift. So point being, even though eBay had such a dominant position within general marketplaces, there were all these other companies coming in specializing on specific verticals and going deeper on those categories, which turned out to be a big opportunity for them. And I think we can see that this is already actually starting to happen with OpenSea. So this was actually taken from Tasha Kim. I want to give her credit. She wrote an article titled The Unbundling of OpenSea, and it's exactly this. Basically the fact that there are different verticals within the NFT space, and there's already companies and projects starting to tackle those. So a couple of the ones you may already know of are gaming, music, fine art, real estate, right? And I'm sure there's many other use cases that we haven't even thought of yet. But to kind of dive a little deeper and double click on this, if you were looking for a fine art NFT, like a one of one, you probably wouldn't go to a general marketplace like OpenSea. You would most likely go to Super Rare, right? Because that's the platform that's attracting the type of artist that may have a one of one, right? The Beeples of the world. So if you were looking to buy a one of one art, you would go to Super Rare. For music NFTs, say you're an artist and you want to enter the space, and you're looking to NFT, turn a song into an NFT. In that case, you may try a company like Royal, right? Because they actually give you the ability to tokenize your song and fractionalize ownership to your community, right? So that's something specific to this platform that a general marketplace cannot provide. Obviously, there's gaming and all these other verticals as well, but you can already start to see these early signs of the unbundling, where these other projects are specializing in these verticals, and they're going to continue to grow. But not just specific to verticalization, I also want to touch on the idea of creator-owned marketplaces. So besides eBay, there's another big marketplace, Amazon, right? And what you see here is Shopify and Amazon next to each other on a chart. This is showing that Amazon has over 1.5 million active third-party sellers, and Shopify, which has its own creator model, has over 1.5 million creator marketplaces. What's interesting here is that these two different models can obviously coexist, right? Amazon has been killing it for the past few years. They've only grown exponentially, and Shopify has had a tremendous rise over the past decade itself as well. So we think something similar to this is going to happen in the Web3 space. So we're very bullish on the idea that creator-owned marketplaces will start to rise. At Origin, as I may have mentioned earlier, I do business development there. And over the last year and a half, I've had numerous conversations with artists, celebrities, projects, Web2 companies, you name it. And I think the one common denominator between all my conversations is that after the base use case of launching an NFT and being able to transact on a marketplace, they all want something different, right? They all want to provide different, unique experiences based on their communities and the project. So a couple reasons why this is inevitable. These top two bullet points kind of go hand in hand. NFTs are interoperable and user data is portable. So the first one, what's that mean? NFTs being interoperable. Basically means the NFTs and their metadata are publicly accessible, right? So they're not bound to any single platform. I can access that data on the blockchain and populate it wherever I see fit. Same thing with user data being portable. If you look at maybe a Web2 company, for example, if your Facebook account, you can't take all the contents from your profile on Facebook and bring it somewhere else, right? It's bound within those Facebook walls. Whereas in Web3, when you have a wallet, all of the contents of your wallet go with you wherever you go. So you can connect to this platform, this marketplace, this site, and you're bringing all of your user data with you at all times. So you're not bound to a single platform. The next piece here is liquidity aggregation is easier. So with any marketplace, there's a buy side and a sell side, right? And typically you have to figure out the mix of supply and demand there. In Web3, it's a lot easier to aggregate liquidity or steal liquidity. So you don't have to worry about the supply side as much. What I mean by that is going back to that first point that NFTs are publicly accessible. So I can actually access the listing from on-chain and populate it within my own marketplace, right? So I can actually start a marketplace and instantly have tons of supply available. For me as a creator, that makes it so I just have to focus on the demand side, which makes the problem a lot easier when you don't have to juggle both of those things. NFTs are not one size fits all. So I think earlier we talked about the different verticals, right? Gaming and music. There's also different file types or formats. You may have a PFP that's a still image, it's a PNG file, versus maybe there's a 3D file type that's metaverse compatible, versus maybe this NFT needs KYC, right? So there are all these different use cases, and I'm sure there are more that we haven't even thought of yet, where no single platform will be able to support them all, right? It's just too broad of a spectrum. And then last is we live in a multi-chain world. Though Ethereum is, you know, the favorite, there are other layer ones, there are side chains that are popping up, the Solanas, Cardanos, Avalanches, Polygons, and creators are going to build on the chain that fits their needs, right? So once again, it's just too broad of a spectrum where one general marketplace can't serve all of these creators. Okay, I'm going to get into some of the benefits of unbundling to creator-owned marketplaces now, as opposed to selling on a generalized marketplace. So the first one is authenticity and verifiability. I want to bring back the comparison I made with selling or buying sneakers, right? If you were going to search for some, I don't know, Jordans or some Nike SBs or some Kobe's, you could theoretically search for them on eBay, but you're probably more likely to search for them on GOAT or StockX, because those marketplaces have specialized specifically into the sneaker category. Because if I were to search a specific shoe on eBay, say it was like an Air Jordan 11 cool gray or something, I may find a couple of listings, but there's no guarantee to me that that third-party seller is providing me a quality product, right? Because they could even use a stock image from Google Images. I may not even get to see a specific photo of the product that I'm in fact going to buy. Whereas on GOAT or StockX, you see the photos of the product, they collect the product themselves and inspect it, they put their stamp of approval on it to guarantee the authenticity, they verify it's the real good. So in the digital world with NFTs, it's actually even harder, because you have a Bored Ape here, and then you right-click save it and paste it here. It's identical, right? So the only way to tell the difference is when you look up that token and see that it's a part of the official smart contract for the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Whereas if you look up the other one, it's not. It's a scam. There have been tons of issues with security and in crypto in general, but on OpenSea specifically, so much so they had to come out with a blog post to help minimize scamming for the NFT community. And it's especially difficult if you're new to the space, you're buying your first NFT, you don't know what to look for yet. So the benefit of a creator-owned marketplace is that it's all in one place. It's an absolute source of truth. There's no third-party seller that can copy-paste your whole collection and list it, because it's your website, right? So you're only going to import your own collections, and you're in complete control. Next is custom branding and community experiences. So this is another benefit that you can't get on a general marketplace. The screenshots shown here are from the Pudgy Penguins. This is one of Origin's many partners. We're actually also partnered with Zipsy's Supernormal, as well as dozens of other NFT, PFP projects. But the benefit here is that when you have a marketplace that lives on your website, you can match the look and feel of your brand, right? This marketplace has their logo, their banner, their fonts, their colors. It feels like home to that community. It also has a community analytics dashboard where you can actually see a list of wallets that are the top holders. You can see how many holders have high conviction, meaning they own 10 or more penguins. It houses all of their collections under a drop-down menu, so you can easily flip in and out. And just overall is providing a better user experience for that community. So these are things that you won't be able to find on a general marketplace. I also do want to mention this is more of a V1. I think there are other features there where these projects want to go deeper with their communities. So whether that's token gating access to merchandise or some sort of digital content on their site, they could want to launch a token, introduce staking, right? There's a number of things that these projects may want to do. We are continuing to build here and work very closely with the Pudgy Penguins team. That's about all the alpha I can give, but we're very excited about the opportunity to work with a project like this, as well as the other dozens of partners that we have. And one other benefit I want to mention I glossed over is that when you're going to a general marketplace like OpenSea, they have to index millions, tens of millions of assets, right? Whereas here, there's 3 collections at the moment. So it's just going to be a much smoother experience, way faster load times. Yeah, just overall better for the user. So this is actually another partner of ours. If you were on crypto Twitter over the last 2 weeks, this also made a couple news headlines, but we recently sold a home on chain in partnership with Roofstock, which is a Web2 company. So this was the first home sold on an NFT marketplace with instant settlement, essentially the same as buying any NFT PFP, right? Except in this case, when you buy the NFT and it goes to your wallet, you own a physical asset in the real world. So when Roofstock first came to us and we were in discussions of building out their marketplace, there was 2 specific things they wanted. One was they wanted the ability to conduct the sale in stablecoin, USDC, which to OpenSea's credit, they do support that. And the other piece was they needed for the buyers and sellers to be KYC'd, right? They needed to know who was transacting. So those were 2 things that were unique to Roofstock that they needed on their marketplace to carry out this transaction. And so with Origin's help, we were able to make that happen, and we sold a home. So this was in Columbia, South Carolina. It was 175,000 USDC, and hopefully it's the first of many more. So that was exciting. The other piece was aggregating liquidity. I touched on this a bit earlier, but it just makes it a lot easier from a creator standpoint where, as I mentioned, you don't have to focus on supply. I'm sure some of you have used Gem or Genie. So let me back up a bit. So OpenSea's main advantage is that they've kind of been the king of liquidity, right? So when you go to think about where am I going to buy or sell an NFT, well, where are the most eyeballs? And that has been OpenSea for the past couple of years. The beauty of this is that, as I mentioned earlier, you can actually pull all of those listings. I can take every single OpenSea listing and put it on my own creator-owned marketplace. And what's great about this is that I can actually take all of LooksRare's listings and do the same thing. I can take all of X2Y2's listings and do the same thing. So now, actually my creator-owned marketplace is the king of liquidity because I have more listings than OpenSea. I have every listing, right? So as mentioned, supply is no longer an issue. It's really more so, how am I going to get my community to go to my marketplace as the premier destination? Another issue to bring up is marketplace fee compression. And this chart is pretty crazy when you look at OpenSea's fees versus FTX and Uniswap. But it's because it's early in the NFT marketplace. I think there's already a war on fees, right? You've probably heard it's a race to the bottom. And we are starting to see that with looks rare. X2Y2 specifically has picked up a lot of market share. And as these fees start to lower, I think overall this is good for the consumer, right? No one wants to have a monopoly where one company can charge an exorbitant amount of fees. You want to have people, battling for you to be on their platform. So this is overall great for consumers. I think for creators, it's also a good thing because you can stand up your marketplace and you can also start to undercut some of these marketplaces and like I said, drive demand to your own. The main differentiator here, if fees all go to zero, is going to be what the user experience is. And at the end of the day, the creator knows their community best. So they have a leg up on the competition in terms of providing a unique experience and delivering for their community directly. So as fees race to zero, I think creators really have the advantage and they will be in the driver's seat. And that flows in nicely to this last bullet point. Creator economics are just going to improve, right? So currently, when a creator's NFT sells on OpenSea, OpenSea takes 2.5%. If a creator stands up in marketplace, the creator now collects the marketplace fee, right? And it doesn't have to be 2.5%. We've had projects that completely waive the fee. Some of them charge 1%, some charge 0.5%. It's up to the creator to determine that. But the point is, currently they get zero. So even just introducing a small amount unlocks a new revenue stream for them. The next bullet is about use of native tokens. So I'm sure some of you have heard of ApeCoin, right? It's the Bored Ape Yacht Club's ERC20 token. And I think we'll continue to see more and more collections or creators come out with their own token. Obviously, it's financially beneficial to the creator when people buy their token, right? So being able to integrate it within your own marketplace is just another advantage, whereas you may not be lucky enough to have a general marketplace, add capability for your token to be used. So being in control of your destiny on your own marketplace. And this last bit is you have the ability to influence the traders versus hodlers mix, where you can actually incentivize more trading by lowering fees or waiving fees, or you can disincentivize trading by increasing fees or potentially adding some sort of other element like staking. Basically, you have levers to pull because you own the marketplace and you are more in control. All this being said, OpenSea has nothing to worry about. If I bring you back to the start of the presentation, we talked about how eBay was the dominant marketplace. eBay is still around today. They're still a multi-billion-dollar company. Maybe their growth has become a bit stagnant and it's not as explosive, but they're doing fine, right? And all it's proven is all these other companies had an opportunity to capitalize on something more. So this headline reads, the NFT and metaverse market is expected to reach $300 billion by 2030, according to Morgan Stanley. OpenSea, as I showed, was over a $10 billion valuation, but that basically just screams opportunity to me, right? So as we start to see some of these verticalized marketplaces pop up, some of these creator marketplaces pop up, I think there's a lot of exciting opportunity over the next 8 years. All right. These are a few of my NFTs. Thank you so much for listening today. And if you want to get in contact, you can email me or feel free to reach out on Twitter or just stop me if you see me. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for your great presentation, full of useful knowledge. I think it was a great opportunity for our Korean audience to check out, what's happening in the global NFT scene. Thank you once again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Busan. 네, 강연 잘 들었습니다. 네, 다시 한번 큰 박수 드릴까요? 멀리서 오셨는데. 네, 감사합니다.